Hey guys. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. It's day three. Welcome to day three. How are you guys? Just want to get a look at you before we get started here. Let's see how you doing. All right. Okay. Good, guys. Looking good. What's happening? Hmm? Guys are ready to go. Some of you are intensely. I see you're like at your desk, ready to rock and roll this thing, make it happen. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Some of you are out for a stroll. Looks nice, Eunice, where you're at. All right, cool, cool. Okay, guys, welcome, welcome, welcome to day three. It's day three of the JP Business Reset Challenge. Day two, what did we do yesterday? So those of you that are with us, you know what we did because you're with us. But I want you to think about just it was a heavy day, right? I mean, we're talking about fear. By the way, how many cows do we have out there? Any buffalo? Do we have any buffalo out there? All right. Okay, good. Just making sure we have some buffalo. There's bison in the house. Good, good. Yes. Taking on fear. We saw that fear, hey, listen, it's going to show up because because we go on this road of trials, and fear is one of those things that shows up. Our opponents show up, our struggles, the hard stuff, the issues, they're going to show up. And that's not a bad thing. We should expect that difficult things are going to happen. We should expect that fear is going to happen. It's part of the road of trials, right? Fear is the price of passion, and fear makes us stronger and better. And all of our greatest experiences have happened on the other side of fear anyway. So we want fear. We want to bring fear on. And I asked you guys to really look at, hey, let's take fear on. Let's take it. Let's welcome it. Let's see it as it makes me stronger. It makes me better. And then we did something pretty intense. We looked at your emotions, and we said, hey, emotions are what are going to fuel you every single day, right? What fuels you every day are emotions. My emotions are going to fuel me every day. They're going to get me to do the things that I do and get me to not do the things that I don't do. But it's these moving towards emotions and moving away from emotions that are really guiding my life. And I said, I want you just to identify the 6 to 12, the six in each area. Hopefully, you got clear that there's probably six in each area, no more than 12 emotions that you're experiencing on a day. And that these moving towards emotions and moving away from emotions are, in fact, the things that are guiding you day in and day out. It's these emotions. Your desire to move away from some of these emotions is guiding you. Your desire to move towards some of these emotions, it's what's guiding you. It's why you set your goals, it's why you set your objectives. I'm curious in the chat, put some of the emotions that you became aware of, the moving towards and moving away from. The emotions that you know are running you on a day-to-day basis. What are they for you? What are the emotions that are running you on a day-to-day basis? Are they rejection? Are they fear? Are they judgment? Are they joy? Are they love? Are they safety? What's some of the awareness you had about some of the emotions that you recognize, oh my gosh, this is what's guiding me? Gratitude, judgment and rejection. Laura, abandonment. Yeah. Awesome awareness. Fear of rejection. Yeah. Doubt. Yeah. What else? Gratitude, judgment, fear of failure, love, authentic, rejection, avoidance, judgment. There's some common themes here, right? This judgment thing's interesting. Disappointment, love, valued, unheard, judgment. Denny, good awareness. What are they for you guys? What are the awarenesses that you had around these emotions that you're literally trying to get in life and the ones you're trying to get away from? Guys, this is everything. This is the stuff that's running your business. If we look at your business, we go, what's running your business? I'm going to tell you, look at your emotions. Your emotions are what are guiding you. You're moving towards emotions and you're moving away from emotions. They're both moving you in some way or not moving you in some way. Because you either get paralyzed or you get into action, but emotions are critical. And then we said, hey, here's the deal. We all have these emotions, but why do you or how do you allow yourself to have these emotions? And we all have rules. I will allow myself to feel love if this happens and this happens and this happens and this. And that's my rule around love. And I'll allow judgment to happen if this happens and this happens. And that's how I feel judgment. For most people, I know their rule around judgment. It's the rule I had for years was my brain said, anytime I'm around people, I'll feel judgment. It's like, how did I come up with that? Well, I started thinking, I said, when do I feel judged? And I go, I feel judged when people are around. And I'm like, well, how do I decide if I feel judged? Does somebody have to say something? Does somebody have to do something? I'm like, nope. I just have to be around people. And in my head, I think I'm being judged. So I realized that I have a rule around judgment. I will feel judgment when I'm around people. So for years, I called myself an introvert and I'd stay away from people. I'd isolate. No wonder when I'm around people, I feel judged. Michelle will be like, hey, we're going to go out to dinner tonight with some friends. I'm like, no, I don't want to sit at a dinner table all night and be judged. Hey, so-and-so's getting married. Let's go to a wedding. I'd be like, I'm an introvert. I don't do social events. I'm like, no, I just had a rule around judgment. I'm going to be judged anytime I'm around people. That was my own rule. We're going to identify, you're going to see very clearly there's a rule that you have today that creates massive issues in your life. So that was my rule around judgment. I'm going to feel judged anytime I'm around people. My brain made it up and I decided I wanted to create a new rule. I'm going to only feel judged if somebody walks up to me and spits in my face. It's pretty gross. That was my new rule. It's been my rule ever since. Now, does it mean I don't feel judged? No, but I tell brain, get on board. We got a new rule. So I start to feel judged. I'm like, oh, I'm being judged. And I'm like, no, wait. Did somebody come up and spit in my face? No. So I'm not being judged. And brain goes, you can't make stuff up, Brandon. You can't just make these things up. And I go, brain, I need you on board. We made up our old rules. We're making up new ones. And it's like joy or love or gratitude. For me, gratitude, I knew in the past, I would feel gratitude if things were going my way. In a nutshell, that was my rule. As long as things are going my way, I'm grateful. How often was I grateful? Oh, maybe once a day. How often do things all line up and go your way? Here and there, but come on. So I decided to have a new rule. Anytime I can think about something I'm grateful for, I'll feel gratitude. That's a better rule. So I started making it easy to feel good and hard to feel bad. But I was doing the opposite. I was making it easy to feel bad and hard to feel good. So these emotions, they run us, but we can control them. Remember, you're the one riding the horse. You control the horse. You control your subconscious. If you let your subconscious control you, you're in trouble, right? Because the brain is a powerful, powerful thing. And if you leave it to direct you, it's going to direct you to what? Safety, security, survival. And we know we got to take risks. We got to know, we got to play big. Brain's not going to necessarily lead us that way. So yesterday was big. Today, say it's even bigger. If you haven't noticed, we've been doing this thing called the hero's path. Like, I thought this was a reset challenge. This was a reset my business. Well, for any type of a hero or a heroine to create a reset, they've got to go down a path. And the path is, I have a call to adventure. You saw that was day one. What's my call to adventure, Brandon? Taking my business seriously, getting the leverage to go, yes, I want this. Step two, a road of trials are going to show up. Issues, problems, struggles. My survival brain is going to get in the way. Yep. This is where your opponents are going to show up. This is where your issues are going to show up. This is when it's going to get hard. Absolutely. That's, you know, you're on the right path. What's the third principle? The abyss. The abyss. And the abyss is, if you're going to make a business transformation, you must look into the abyss. Those of you that have done further work with me in our academies and some of our ELP. Oh, by the way, I did get a bunch of messages from people. I guess I'd mentioned a couple of times this thing called our ELP. And I'd also mentioned that we're doing some programs. And you guys had asked questions about that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this link in here right now. This link, if I can find it. Sorry, I should have this ready to go. Okay. If you have questions about our ELP, and some of you know about it already, and you're like, oh yeah, that's your flagship program, Brandon, where you come spend a year with us. We also have an NMD program that we just launched that's a year program. And some of you may just want to explore working with me in a one-on-one basis. If that's you, now I'm going to give you guys something, in the next couple of days that you can come do with us further. But if you want to dig into how to work with me individually or want to work with one of our year programs, then click on this link and set up a time to talk to me. This goes directly to my calendar. And so you can schedule a time with me. If you're wanting to find out more about how to work one-on-one with us, if you're wanting to explore how to go into our ELP program, if coaching is something you're like, I got to take it to another level, Brandon, I really want to know more about what you're doing and dig in, you can set up a time with me. Now, only for those individuals who are dang serious about this. Okay. My time, your time, all of our time is precious, precious, precious. But please, this is for you. If you really want to look at hiring a coach and what it might look like working with us for a year, click that link and schedule time with me, and I'll spend time talking to you about our ELP and see if it's a fit for you. I'll spend time talking to you about our NMD program that we're doing for NMDs. I'll spend time talking to you about what it looks like to one-on-one coach with me, and we'll get you into the right place. So that's my personal link to go into my calendar and schedule time with me. So that's for you guys. Sorry, I meant to mention that earlier. Okay. So this abyss says, hey, listen, as we take this path, there's some scary stuff that might show up. There's some hard things that might show up. Isn't that the road of trials, Brandon? Well, yeah, it is. And part of the road of trials is this abyss. The abyss is the dark cave we do not want to go into. You're like, oh, okay, what's the analogy there? It's like, think about the things that you're afraid of. We talked about some of those yesterday, but think about what you don't want to look at right now in your business. What do you not want to look at? And it might be, Brandon, I don't want to look at my numbers. I don't want to look at how big my team is or how small it is. I don't want to look at my follow-up process. I don't want to look at my body because I'm not spending enough time exercising. I don't want to look at my social media. What do you not want to look at? I know for years in my life, I really didn't want to look at my health. Why didn't I want to look at my health? Because I was 50 pounds overweight. Why would I want to look at my health? It sucks. It's scary. It's frightening. Fate drugged me and said, oh, we'll force you to look at your health. You don't want to look at your health? Cancer. Now, listen, I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that I created it. But I really do believe that if we don't take our lives serious, in the serious parts of our life, I'm not saying you don't take, I would say take having fun serious. I know that's kind of an oxymoron, but it's true. If you don't take resting, recovering, and being playful in your life serious, it's going to come hit you. It's like if you don't take your relationship on, what eventually happens? Your significant other is going to come and say, hey, I've had enough. Or you're going to distance yourselves. You're going to move apart. You don't take your relationship on. If you don't take your health on, eventually sickness is going to come knocking at your door. Right? It's just part of the deal. You know this. And how critical for you to have these incredible products and this incredible opportunity to share with people, to be able to go, hey, listen, fate helps the willing, those who won't, she will drag. I'm here to help you. Volunteer for help. You don't have to, but if you don't take your business serious, if you're not willing to look at some of the things that you're avoiding right now, they will eventually come knocking at your door. You must go out and face them. That's what Buffalo do. So what do you not want to look at? What is it? What has your face on it that you don't want to look at? Your paycheck? How many are like, just don't want to look at that. Frustrating me. I don't want to look at how big my team is or how little my team is. Guys, you got to. You can't look out in your garden and see all the weeds out there. You guys have a different garden, right? You have multiple gardens, not just one. And then they go up, right? It's a tower garden reference. But you can't look at your tower garden or look out your garden and go, I've got weeds in my garden. I don't want to look at the weeds. Don't look at the weeds. It's like weeds will overtake your garden. Bugs will overtake your garden. You can't just be blind to them. You got to do something about it. What do you got to do? You got to go pull the weeds. So, yeah, consistency. You don't want to look at consistency. You don't want to look at your team. You don't want to look at your confidence. How many of you feel like you've lost confidence? Heather, right? We took that on yesterday. Feel like I've lost my edge. I've lost confidence. What are you not? Lack of action. Yes. What are you not wanting to look at? It's time to look at it. It's time to go, nope. A lot of people will talk to us. We have this assessment. Those of you who've taken our assessment, it tells you the advice your brain's giving you. If you have not taken our assessment, it's an option for you. We'll talk more about that. But some people will look at the assessment and they go, I had a kid that wanted to work with me. This is probably 4 or 5 years ago. I talked to him on the phone. I call him a kid. He was probably 35. And he said, Brandon, I don't want to look at this stuff. I can't come work with you in coaching. I don't want to look at this stuff. I don't want to look at my self-esteem. I don't want to look at how I go into black and white thinking with people. I don't want to look at how I'm just fantasizing the outcome and then the results never happen. I don't want to look at that stuff. It's too scary. I don't know how to do it. I said, fair enough. At least you're honest. But I said, you'll never change until you do. Your relationship with your significant other might never change. You might end up facing a divorce someday. Your kids, you have young children. I said, you being a better parent, you don't look at the stuff. Like, how are you going to grow? So whatever you're not willing to look at or you don't want to look at, we got to look at it. That's this abyss. Our biggest fears. Guess what lives in the abyss? Shame, our critic, our shadow. How many are like, oh, shadow? I've heard that word before. How many of you have done shadow work? You looked at the parts of you you don't love or adore. The part of me I don't love and adore, actually, I do today because I know I need to, because if I don't, it's going to keep coming at me. But the part that I used to abandon all the time was that part of me that felt abandoned, that felt insecure, the little kid in me. I don't want to look at that. I want to look at how I grew up and my childhood and my wounds that might be there. Come on, I don't want to look at that stuff. I just want to deal with life. I don't want to have to look at that. Well, what was I getting triggered with in my business? Judgment, rejection. If I don't deal with that stuff, then how do I take it on? So The abyss is where some of our core wounds live. It's where that shadow part of us, the part of us that we don't love, we're not crazy about. Could be the wounded child, could be the part of you that feels judged and insecure, could be part of you that rebels and just checks out and doesn't do what they say you're going to do. Some people are like, I know I'm supposed to do this, this, and this, but I don't want to look at it. Today's the day you look at it. Because here's the good news. When you go into the abyss and explore it, you handle it. When you go and look at the monster's not that big. The monster's not that scary. Some of you, the monster is, I'm just not doing the things that I tell myself to do, the daily activities. It's that simple. And they've become so big because you procrastinate them for so long that they're a big, scary, hairy monster. And they're really not. They're really not, but we got to look at them. So some of the things in the abyss, shame, the critic, right? We heard about the critic yesterday, how the critic coaches Heather. Heather, I know you've been example twice now. I appreciate you being a good sport, but critic, this is where our critic lives, the one that criticizes you to death. This is where any kind of disempowerment lives. This is where our stories live, old stories that hold us back. This is where any toxic emotional place we might have, any toxic emotions live. This is where our fears live. This is where our insecurities live. This is where we'll live in what we call the trauma triangle. Check this out. How many of you have blamed someone or something for your business not working right over the last year? Come on. How many of you have blamed something or someone? How many of you have blamed your website for something? Come on. I talk to you. I know. Don't get quiet now. All right. Good. Got some hands up. Good. I see that. Okay, cool, cool, cool. How many of you have blamed the company for something? Right? Come on. Come on. Yeah. How many of you have blamed other people? I don't have the support. Right? You blame maybe your significant other. They didn't support me in this. Maybe you blamed your upline. How many of you have blamed your team? Brandon, they're not showing up. They're not following they're not following the things they tell themselves to do. Gosh, I'm sick of them. My team. I love them, but I don't love them. I love them, but they piss me off. Gosh, if they would just do the work, wouldn't be in this place. I can only control me, Brandon. Can't control everybody else. But oh, I'm so frustrated with them and upset with them. Come on, how many of you blamed your team? Yes. How many of you are still blaming COVID? Oh man, I still blame COVID. Suckers. Blame the government, blame COVID. Oh, totally altered my business, made me have to reevaluate the whole thing, do it differently. Dang. Went from 11 employees to 3, like that. Oh, I've had so much blame for that. So much blame. What do you blame? Who do you blame? Who do you make a villain? Because here's what you know. Some of you and some of you don't, but you will. When you blame other people and you make other people the villain. I know I do it all the time with Michelle. Michelle, she's the villain, right? In our relationship. I'm not getting love or I'm not getting what I need. So who's the villain? My wife. I'm like, not a good idea, Brandon. Don't make her the villain. Business isn't working right. Oh, it's the people. They're not showing up. It's society. Society's is different today. COVID's fault, government. Like when I live in that space, what happens? I become a victim. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a victim. We're going to all live in our victims. So if we look at this, here's the trauma triangle. We look at it, we make somebody a villain or something a villain, and then we become a victim. But here's the problem when you're in victim. You're powerless. Now, I'm going to feel like a victim today at some point. I'm going to feel like a victim tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. Why? Because I'm human. So are you. Maybe you don't feel like a victim every day, but you're going to go into victim at some point because you're a human being. It's a natural response, but you can tie your victimhood directly to making something or somebody a villain. And you're like, well, I don't want to live in victim for too long because all of my trauma shows up. You might go, trauma? What do you mean, Brandon? All of those insecurities, all of those worries, all of your fears, they will all show up in a trauma triangle. And normally you're not online. You're very much offline. What can we source this to? You've made somebody or something the villain. I don't want to do that. I know you don't, but you will. And you have, because you're human. And then you become a victim, and then you wait for the rescuer to come in. Who's the rescuer? I don't know, the IT department finally figures things out. A lot of us plead with God, please help me with this. Just help me, plead. And listen, God's there for you, for sure. I'm a firm believer. I get to call on God whenever, but I don't want God to be my rescuer, right? I want God to work with me together. I want him to help me. I want him to breathe life into me. I can't just ask him to do all the work. What does he say? He says, I'll carry you for some of the way, but a lot of the way you got to walk. I'll walk beside you and I'll carry you when it's really hard, but you got to do this with me. I can't just come in and save everything. That doesn't empower you. How many of you do this with your kids? You're rescuers with your kids. Dad, where's the ketchup? I'll come find it. Dad, I need rent money this month. Okay, I'll pay your rent money. Dad, I need you know, to be taken care of here and here and here. And okay. And we never empower them. We got to empower them, right? It's the same things with ourselves, guys. But as long as we're making villains of people, we'll live in victim. So I'm curious, to be honest with yourself right now, to look at this. Who have you blamed? Who or what have you blamed over the last year for your business not being as successful as maybe it should? And I know some of you, yes. This is interesting. You make you the villain, you become the victim, and you expect you to be the rescuer. And that's exhausting. Now all of a sudden you're part of every equation. And it's like, that doesn't serve you. Yeah. When you blame yourself, I know you go into shame. That's the critic. And again, the critic lives here, so that's good. But how do you live in it? Who have you blamed or what have you blamed over the last year? And how have you become a victim because of it? And who are you waiting to come in and rescue you? The dreary weather. It is dreary here as well. It's like raining. It's weird. February, it's raining. Hey, listen, who we blame? And if you blame yourself, again, you're making you the villain. You're not the villain. Nor is the IT department. They don't pay me to say that. The company's not the villain. The people in the world aren't villains. As soon as we do something really powerful, because see, here's what happens. When we live in victim, we'll probably live in a lot of shame and we'll probably live in a lot of scarcity. Think about it. Scarcity. Think about scarcity. I'm going to pull this up right now and I want you to answer yes or no to any of these following questions. We'll see how much scarcity you live in. So here's the checklist. I let the thought of failure keep me from making bold moves. Yes or no? I play it safe. Risks are dangerous. Yes or no? I don't have enough money to live the life I want and deserve. Now, here's what's cool about this is you can put money, time, anywhere you see money, time, or love, you can put all three of those. So this says, I don't have enough money to live the life I want, or I don't have enough time, or I don't have enough love. All forms of scarcity. And the three things we focus most in scarcity: money, time, and love. If we just had more money, if we just had more time and we had more love, everything would be good. Wrong. So, because we're always thinking scarce around it. So the places we'll go into victim are usually around those three areas. It's affected my money. If you were all making, I don't know what kind of money. If you were all making PMD money right now, would you be here? Like, I don't know, Brandon. I don't know if I'd be here. If you were all making, 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month, 200 grand a month, would you be here? Or would life be just so good? For a while. For a while, it'd be good. If you had all the time in the world, plenty of time, would you be here? If you had all the money and all the time and all the love, would you be here? You might not be working on your own growth. And so then if you had all the time, money, and love, you might get entitled and you might get bored. Take not any, but most famous people in the world, enter their lives. Come on. Think about some of the people that have committed suicide, that have been famous. Did they have money? Did they have time? Did they have love? All of the above, plenty of it. And they still killed themselves. How? How's that possible? How can you be that miserable if you have all the time, money, and because there's always scarcity. I worry that money may stop coming in. If it does, it may never start again, or time, or love. Oh my gosh, I'm worried. Love starts coming in from people. What if it stops? I find myself worrying about where money, time, love is coming from and where is it going? I have too much to do and never enough time, money, love. I sacrifice my needs to handle others' emergencies. Life is happening to me, not for me. Scarcity? Yep. There's too much competition. I can't win. I don't have enough business. There's not enough people to call. Scarcity. I find myself silently judging how others are spending their money, time, love. It's painful for me to want things. If you said yes to any of those, there's scarcity. Where does scarcity come from? Victim. Where does victim come from? Blaming. There's a villain somewhere. So scarcity is a direct correlation to living in victimhood. And what did I say? You're going to experience victim today, tomorrow, the next day. Why? Because you're human. And it's what we do. Some of us go there more than others. But scarcity, it's a direct result. And you're wondering, why am I not playing bigger? Scarcity. Why am I not taking more risks? Scarcity. I'm worried about money. I'm worried about time. I'm worried about love. Is there enough of it? Yes, plenty, everywhere. But some of you live in scarcity and you're waiting for abundance in order to feel abundant. Brandon, if I made $100,000 a month, I would feel abundant. Well, okay, who wouldn't? I feel abundant in money. Brandon, if everybody all day told me how much they love me, I'd feel abundance of love. Yep. Who wouldn't? Brandon, if all of a sudden I had all the time in the world all day, every day, and people weren't asking for my time and requiring my time, I'd feel abundant. Well, anybody can feel abundant when things going your way, when all those things are happening. But here's what I'll tell you. If you get those things and you go into them with the scarcity mindset, you may feel abundant for a year and then you'll be in scarcity again. All of you, if you take money scarcity into your rest of your world, there's no amount of money that'll never be enough. You know what hopefully some of you know what I'm talking about. Insert the famous person. If I'm famous enough, nope. If I make enough money, it'll last for about a year and then you'll be in scarcity again. If you take scarcity into time, there'll never be enough time. If you take scarcity into love, everybody telling you they love you every single day, it won't be enough at some point. You've got to be abundant in the middle of scarcity. What does that mean? You feel abundant when you don't have the time, when you don't have the money, when you don't have all the love. You feel the abundance in the middle of that. How do you do that? Gratitude's one way. But it's feeling abundance. It's soaking in abundance. I am going to be abundant. It's a choice, guys. You stop making villains. You start owning and taking responsibility for stuff that's going on in what you can take responsibility for. You know that your kids have brought home the scarcity and abundant sheet, right? Abundant mindset, scarcity mindset. Which do I have? Both, because you're human. Which one do you focus on? Which one do you focus on? Well, if there's villains everywhere, you're focused on scarcity. If I don't have enough time, if I don't have enough money, I don't have abundance. Who can you stop blaming? And that includes yourself. I want you to take responsibility for stuff, but I don't want you to go into blame because blame leads to shame, which is the other deep, dark place in the abyss. Shame. The critic, man, the critic will just beat you up until you get into shame. Because if you get into shame, brain thinks, if I get you into shame enough, you'll do something about it. Lies. You're not going to take really positive action in shame. Tell me. Parents? Any parents out there? Let's create shame right now. All we have to do, think about in some way, shape, or form, your child behaves because of the way you raised them. A negative way they behave because of how you raised them. How many of you went, thanks, Brandon, shame immediately? Oh, parenting is a shame minefield. Try to tiptoe around that. Like, good luck. My child acts like this. That's my fault. My child does this. My fault. No, it's not. But we go there. And some of us, we got to look at our shame because we're deadly and dangerous in shame. I always talk about the mother. I remember this is probably, I don't know how long ago this was, but I was watching her with her son, and her son was probably 4 or 5, and she's walking along the cereal aisle. I don't know what I was doing walking. I was probably looking for oatmeal, right? With no additives, of course. But she's got her son, and he's dragging his hand along the cereal aisle, which means he's knocking every cereal box off as long as he goes. And I'm walking behind it going, that's kind of funny. Like watching this child knock all the cereal boxes off. He's like just doing it with his hand, right? Like something a 4-year-old to do. And I'm like chuckling because, of course, it's not my kid. So it's funny. And then she looks behind and sees the trail of disaster he just left. And she looks up and sees me. Now, I think she took him, she looked at him and went, and shook him. Why? What did you do that for? Can you believe that bad boy? And then she looked up and saw me. And I'm sure inside she went, I am a bad mother. And she shamed herself. So you'd think by shaming herself for shaking her kid, she'd all of a sudden shift out of it and be good again, right? Oh no, because shame begets more shame. So she decided, I'm just going to leave all the cereal boxes the way they are and I'm going to grab him by the hand and pull him as fast as I can and as hard as I can. Come on. And then I'm sure she went, bad mom, shame. And then I'll bet she went out to the car and yelled at him and then thought she was a worse mom. And then I'll bet she screamed some obscenities at him and thought she was a worse mom. And then I'll bet she took him home and locked him in his room and put him in timeout because she thought she was a worse mom. And I'll bet she kept making worse moves and worse moves and worse moves. Because as long as we're in shame, that's what's going to happen. And in your business, it's the same thing. I suck, I'm bad, I'm not good. And guess what? You do more behavior that's not good or healthy. Shame begets more shame. I guarantee there's scarcity around, there's shame around. Well, what did that mother need in that moment more than anything? Not more shame. And she certainly didn't need me go look at her and go, nice move, mom, which is probably the look I gave her, which probably shamed her even more. I didn't say anything, but she saw me and she's probably like, now somebody witnessed it. So people don't need more beating up. You don't need more beating up. So make sure you're not shaming yourself. Coaching yourself from the critic is not a place to coach yourself. I'm bad, I suck, I suck, I suck. That's not, you're going to continue to be dangerous, just like the mom. What did the mom need? Well, what if I went to the mom and said, hey, you know what? Happened to me last week. And my kid's 14 and he knocks all the cereal boxes off. You know, what if I would have said, hey, you know what? I screw up as a dad all the time too. I've shaken my kids a few times. Not cool. I know. But that doesn't make you a bad person. You just made a mistake. Tell your kid you're sorry. Move on. That's a different path. Oh my gosh, I messed up. I'm sorry. There's no reason mom should have freaked out on you like that. I'm so sorry. I lost my cool. Done. Finished. Over. Oh my gosh, I made a mistake today. I didn't call those people. I didn't jump on it. I didn't do the follow-up. I didn't do what I need to do as a leader. Give yourself some grace and compassion. Not excuses, but grace and compassion. So then you can take action to fix the problem instead of live in shame. Shame resilience is simple. You name it. You know you're in it. I'm in shame. I want you guys to get good at shame resilience. First step is to name it. I'm in shame. For that mother to be able to go, I'm in shame and name it brings light to it. Because shame lives where? In the abyss, in the darkness. Bring light to it. I didn't say you had to go in the abyss and not bring a light down there. Bring a flashlight. Bring a headlamp. Bring a spotlight. Explore, look around. In fact, that's what I'm trying to do is bring light to the stuff that you're hiding in the dark. The stuff you're procrastinating, avoiding, and not doing, that all lives in the dark. Bring a giant light to it. Shine a light on it. I'm in it. I'm in shame, or I'm in insecurity, or I'm in frustration, or I'm not willing to look at this, or I don't want, name it, identify it, bring light to it, because most of that stuff lives in the dark. I have a concern about being abandoned, and I'm 52 years old. Seriously? Yeah, it's my core wound. Shine a big giant light on it. Bring light to it. If it sits in the dark, oh, nobody can know. Nobody can know. Nobody can. I don't want to go there. I don't want to look at it. No, I better go there. So it's holding me back. So we name it. Then we go, hey, what are the expectations fueling the shame? My parenting shame always comes up because I think I'm supposed to act like Mike Brady. For those of you who don't know Mike Brady is from the Brady Bunch, right? If I father like Mike Brady, oh man, I'm a good father. If I fall short, I'm a bad father. Unrealistic expectations? Yes. Why? Because the Brady Bunch is not real. What are the expectations that are fueling? Were you supposed to be the greatest leader in the world and COVID wasn't supposed to affect you? Or people weren't going to leave the company or leave the business if you were a better leader? Or what are the expectations? What are the expectations that are fueling your shame? And then I think one of the most important things that we get to do is have dialogue with ourselves and give ourselves the thing we need the most when we're in shame: compassion, grace, and love. And maybe we go communicate to somebody. Maybe we speak to somebody who has earned the right to hear it. That's practicing shame resilience. But getting clear about when you're in shame is the most important thing, because I'm going to tell you, it lives in the dark. It's a scary place. Yeah. So, whole tool around shame resilience for you guys to practice. I want you to look at one more thing. We looked at this yesterday in the, I think I asked it yesterday in the VIP lab. I'm not certain, but maybe I asked it here. But one of the things that I know holds you back more than anything else, one of the things that lives in the abyss for you, is the need for things to be perfect. It's the need for you to be perfect. It's the need for you need to do it the right way in order to be enough. We're only born with two fears. And I've talked to you guys about those. Some of you know that we're born with two fears, and they are loud noises and falling. That's it. Only two fears we're born with. Can you imagine, where would you be today if those were your only two fears? What would you let run you if those were your only two fears? If that was your only fear, you didn't have all this judgment, worry of judgment, all these other emotions you wrote down yesterday. If you only were, the only things you're afraid of today as you wake up is, as long as I'm not falling or loud noises. Can you imagine? Where would your business be? How many people would you talk to? How many would you interact with if those were your only two fears? Oh my gosh. Sky's the limit. Are you kidding me? Those are your only two fears? But what are our fears today? Am I enough? Because if I'm enough, I'll be loved. So the fear is, I won't be enough and I won't be loved. It's the greatest fear. Those are two greatest fears. And how do they run us? Well, I don't want to be too pushy today, because if I'm too pushy, then people might not think I'm enough and they might not love me. If I am, too much of whatever, if I voice my opinion or if I speak up, what is it for you? All in the name of fear of being enough and being loved. Some of you have built your business by trying to be enough. I built a multi-million-dollar coaching business, and my sole motivator for years was so that I would be enough and I would finally be loved. And I would do whatever it took to make my business work, until it wasn't sustainable to make it happen like that again, because it won't be, because that's out of obligation. That's out of fear. That's not choice. So this fear runs us. The question I asked somebody yesterday in the VIP lab, it's a question I'm going to ask all of you today. Whose love did you crave growing up? Whose love did you crave more, mom or dad? Now, this isn't saying you had a bad childhood. Some of you are like, my child was great. I got love from both of them. I know, but whose love did you crave more? And now I want you to ask yourself, as a child, who did you think you needed to be to get love from that adult? Who did you think you needed to be? And that's where most of your perfection comes from. Because most of you are going to go through this list of things: a good girl. There it is, perfect. You probably thought you needed to be perfect as a child. And you took your child brain and said, I need to be perfect. And you're carrying that around with you today. And that's where perfection comes from most of us. If I'm perfect, I'll be enough and I'll be loved. Not true. Not true. Why? Because perfection's unattainable. And think about the drawbacks of trying to make everything perfect. Think about the drawbacks of you making it perfect. You're exhausted. People don't care anyway. It's never going to be good enough for them anyway. Like I used to get, oh my gosh, I used to get so angry with my team when they made mistakes because somebody's always going to be. Tell me if you're the person out there that will find the mistake in our, you'll find the typo in our sheet. Come on. I mean, you have a lot of black and white thinking going on, and you'll find the typo in there. Oh my gosh, guys, I used to freak out. My team, they were scared of me because I would literally expect perfection. You do not ever have any, if anybody comes to me with a typo, that says we're unprofessional. Don't you ever do that. Do you know how exhausting that is? You know how exhausting it is to never make a mistake? Oh my gosh, you can get pretty dang close. I probably went years without a mistake, but I couldn't control everybody. So I had to do it all to make sure it was perfect, and I couldn't ask anybody else to do it. All in the name of being enough. You know how exhausting it is? Do you know how many typos you'll probably find in these worksheets alone today? Lots. Why? Because I stopped requiring perfection. Does it make us, you found one? Of course you did. But here's the thing, I stopped requiring me to be perfect. And I don't care. I really don't. The person that finds a typo, it's their issue. It's their need to deal with it. It's actually good. I do a video on perfection, and I have like I have a button down shirt, and I leave one button undone, or I buttoned it like up here or something. I don't remember, but I did it on purpose to see. And somebody's like, Brandon, I watched your video on perfection. I'm sorry, I could not get past the button to even hear what you said. Exactly. You need to work on perfection. Whose love did you crave growing up more? Mom. Who'd you have to be for her? Perfect. So notice how critical you are of everything around you that's not perfect. It's so exhausting. It is probably the area that lives in the abyss that is the most difficult for some of you to look at. And it's your own requirement. Yeah, it's your own requirement. Stemming from who you thought you needed to be. Guys, perfection's unattainable. So listen, this is a lot of stuff. I mean, this is like 9 pages of a lot of material. I'm not expecting you, hopefully, you guys know you don't have to do all this perfect. I come from a place where I want to give it all to you. I don't want to cut any corners, but we could take a full hour on each day or each one of these worksheets. So don't try to get all this perfect. But hopefully some stuff arised in you. You went, oh my gosh, yeah, scarcity, big time, Brandon. Shame, my fears, perfection. This stuff lives in the dark. The part of me that I'm ashamed of, that lives in my in this abyss, and I got to look at it. I can't just turn a blind eye to it. I'm not going to just look away. I'm going to look at it. Yeah, during 70%, absolutely. I am a big fan of 70%. Not 7 and not 27, but 70. Absolutely. Consistent 70%. Guys, imagine if you were consistently 70% in your business. Where would you be today? The only 2 fears you had were loud noises and falling. Where would you be today? If you didn't have to constantly be worried about being enough, if you didn't have to constantly be worried about being loved, if you just knew you were. How can I just know I am, Brandon? It's faith, it's abundance. It's looking around with this big giant flashlight or spotlight in the abyss and shining light on it, shining light on your insecurities and your worries and your fears. And here they are. So you can do something about it. How does this all relate to your business? If you're in scarcity, how do you attract other people? Are you magnetizing? Probably not. You probably come across as desperate. So abundance becomes important. I'll be abundant when I have all the abundance. No, abundance starts today. It's a decision. What if you made a decision to say, I'm going to live in an abundant mindset today? It doesn't mean I won't ever have scarcity come up, but I'm choosing abundance and I'm going to get brain on board. What if you decided today to live in a beautiful state, even when things aren't going your way? You can suffer, or you can live in a beautiful state. What's beautiful around you? I'm not saying you look out at your garden and go, there's no weeds. Go pull the weeds and live in a beautiful state as you pull the weeds. Have gratitude for the weeds. They show you how beautiful the garden is. Perfection is exhausting. Shame is exhausting. Scarcity is exhausting. Take risks, bold risks. Take chances. Do things that scare you. Get out of your comfort crisis. Now, if there's one of those things that resonated with you today, fantastic. They don't all have to. But this is the abyss. And we must look at it to become successful. We must. To have true joy and passion, we must do it. All right, guys. So today, my assignment for you today is to get really clear about what it is that lives in your abyss. Is it shame? Is it perfection? Is it all of the above? What's hindering you that's in your abyss that you don't want to look at, that you're willing to look at today? And I want you to go look at it. I want you to go look at it. How is perfection messing with your world today, or shame, or scarcity? How are they messing with you? And what can you choose to live in abundance today? What abundant move can you make today? What bold move? What risk can you take that goes against survival brain? What's something you can do that's where brain's worried about time and money and love, and something bold you can do and go do it? Some of you are like, I don't know. What's a bold thing I can do? I got something for you. Go to Walmart or Target or some busy supermarket and go out in front of it and take a little coffee can or a little can of some kind or something in front of you and go sing for money at a really, really, really busy place. Now maybe you're like, why would I do that? That sounds stupid. If it scares you, it's called a stretch. Stretch yourself. Find opportunities to stretch yourself anywhere you can. You can make really bold moves in situations. Go to a grocery store and buy 12 rolls of toilet paper and one banana, and set the banana up first and the 12 rolls of toilet paper afterwards. And then when they've all scanned through, ask the attendant or the person that, checks you through, say, hey, do you think that's enough toilet paper for that banana? Get playful. Get bold. Get fun. Take fun serious. Take risks. Where's a risk you can take that would make a change in how you approach today? All right. Day 4 tomorrow. Big day, big day. Movement messaging. How would you guys like to create a movement in your life and create more messaging around it and get people on board? How'd you like to be a magnet for all the people out there in the world? So tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow's the very big day. We're going to dig into it. Day 4. Make sure you're here. And for those of you that are with us in the VIP lab, we'll see you in 2 minutes. Have a good day.